Institutes of the National Institutes of Health. And in my role, I wear a lot of different hats, but a big part of what I'm involved in is workforce development, both at NIH more broadly and at NLM specifically, particularly in the NLM or the data science and NLM training program, which is what I'm going to talk about today. There is a lot of content to cover here, so I'm going to go relatively quickly through the slides, but I'm happy to get into any more specifics about any of the aspects of our program that you'd like me to delve a little bit more into. There we go. So I just want to situate this a little bit within sort of our organization's goals. One aspect of what we're working under is the NIH Strategic Plan for Data Science, which has 5 overarching goals for how NIH will sort of modernize our data ecosystem and enhance capacity for doing data science work. And one of those overarching goals is enhancing the workforce for biomedical data science. Within those, we have specific objectives, and within those objectives, we have tactics for how we'll accomplish those. And one of our tactics within that plan is sort of recognizing the role of librarians and information specialists and developing programs to increase their capacity for data science. We also have a strategic plan for the National Library of Medicine, which is very heavy on data science and emphasizing the role of data for advancing health and our biomedical knowledge. And one of the 3 pillars of our strategic plan is assuring a data savvy biomedical workforce and a data ready public. So we are very much sort of focused on data science. And so, we recognize the importance of making sure that our own workforce has sort of a basic level of knowledge, at least to have an understanding of sort of why this is important for us and for our mission. So we undertook a several-year program of data science training starting in the fall of 2018 when we engaged with Booz Allen Hamilton, a contractor, to help us to create this data science training program. They did a lot of work in the initial planning phase to sort of get a sense of what we needed as an institution. They did interviews with a number of our staff. They developed a transformation roadmap, and they developed some personas and use cases that I'll talk a little bit more about to help people identify training that was appropriate for them. We also had a number of training events. We engaged with the supervisors to sort of emphasize why this training program was important and what this would bring to their staff. And we had several all-staff events, including a training program kickoff that talked a little bit about what this program was and why we were doing it. A data science basics for all staff, which was sort of a data science 101 designed to sort of create a baseline level of knowledge to get everyone at least conversant in data science. And I'll talk about how staff could also pursue additional training that allowed them to explore areas of interest to them and their work. I'll also talk a little bit more about our data science fundamentals program, which was a deep dive into data science for a small number of staff. And then we culminated the year with a data science open house that I'll also talk a little bit more about. A couple of other sort of activities that were included in this year-long data science training program was the development of a course catalog, a data science readiness survey, and then the development of data science training plans that I'll also dive a little bit more into, which were, again, designed to help people get connected with training that was most suitable for their sort of level of expertise and their particular role. So I mentioned these personas that the contractors developed. These were sort of profiles of various different ways that people might engage with data or do data science in their work, recognizing that we are a large institution. We have 1,700 staff and contractors, and people have different levels of expertise in data science, and they also have different sort of needs for what they might do with data science in their work. So it's really not a one-size-fits-all approach to data science training and workforce development. It's this recognition that people are starting from sort of a different starting line and they have a different finish line. So these 8 different skill development profiles or personas were designed to be these aspirational profiles that at least one of these would sort of resonate with everyone, and they would choose that skill development profile as a way to sort of guide their training and their development. The data science readiness survey was sort of how we paired people with the training that would help them get to that aspirational state in their skill development profile. So people completed, they selected the skill development profile that resonated with them. They completed a self-evaluation of their current data science skill proficiencies. And then depending on which profile they selected, they may do one or both of these practical assessments that were, sort of like actual tests of your data science knowledge. This pairing of the skill development profile with this data science readiness survey essentially allowed us to do sort of a gap analysis for each individual. So what you see here on the screen is this sort of visualization of the difference between a hypothetical person's current skill development or skill profile, what they know already coming into this, and what they would need to know to get to full performance for the skill development profile they had selected. So in this example, this person maybe has selected a profile where they need to know quite a lot about data mining and integration, but they're only at a basic level as they are coming into this program. So the sort of gap here between this basic and the full performance level for data mining and integration, they would then be given a set of courses from the course catalog that would get them from that point A to point B. So each person, each member of the staff who completed one of these skill development, data science readiness surveys and selected a profile would then get this sort of customized set of courses that they could take to get them from their current level of expertise to what was sort of outlined as the expertise for the skill development profile they selected. This data science readiness survey also gave us an opportunity to understand sort of institution-wide where we were with our proficiencies. These 10 different areas were identified by the contractor as the sort of set of proficiencies for data science. And again, this sort of gave us a view of where we had a lot of expertise and where we maybe didn't have as much expertise and where we might want to think of providing opportunities for the institution. I mentioned as well the data science fundamentals program. There were some staff that did want to dive more deeply into skills and have an opportunity to apply those to their work. So this was an intensive 10-week program in collaboration with General Assembly that gave 25 federal staff the opportunity to develop those skills more deeply. So this was something that a lot of people were interested in, but we had limited spaces. So we had a number of different ways that we sort of selected people for participation in that program. This, like I said, was a very intensive deep dive into data science and was rounded out with a capstone project that allowed people to actually put some of this work into practice. And it was very exciting to see the different, projects that people put together, many related to their work at NLM. So there were some really practical outcomes of that training. We ended the first year with a sort of celebration of all that we'd done and all that we'd accomplished. This was back in 2019 when we could still get together in big groups and celebrate. So it was a sort of a half-day celebration of the data science training program featuring things that people had accomplished during that year. We had poster sessions. We had, food to encourage people to get together and, talk to their colleagues and learn more about what everyone is up to. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but we had a very impactful first year of the program, reaching a lot of different staff. We had people completing lots of different training opportunities, so it was very exciting. And as we sort of rounded out that first year, the question was, what next? People were interested in continuing and particularly interested in exploring opportunities to apply some of what they'd learned to their work. So in the second year of the training program, we encouraged people to continue using those individual training plans that they had been given. We offered a second round of the data science fundamentals course, and we also began a data science mentoring program that again was designed to help give people opportunities to put actually into practice the things that they had learned. We also were sort of realizing that people needed, different sort of levels of engagement. Sometimes people had, a lot of time that they could put into something like, 60 hours over 10 weeks for the data science fundamentals, but not everyone has that time to dedicate. So we also tried to come up with sort of bite-sized pieces of things that people could do, webinar series, hands-on training that would be shorter sorts of things that, again, would have skills that people could apply to their work. The mentorship program that we did ended up being a little bit different than what we had expected. Our applications were open starting in end of February 2020 and wrapping up on March 17th, 2020. And some of you may recall that date as being right around the time that many of us moved to a fully remote telework sort of situation at the start of COVID. So we did not get the full round of mentors and mentees that we were hoping for, because I think a lot of people were understandably, having other things on their mind at the time. And we did have to do a lot of sort of moving and switching up of things to accommodate this as a fully remote and virtual program as opposed to in-person mentoring. But I think we did a really good job of doing that. And so we ended up with 4 mentor-mentee pairs that worked together on again, sort of a capstone project. And this just sort of gives a overview of sort of the time commitment and expectations. So we did have, it was very much a structured mentoring program where we had activities that the mentors and mentees came to together, all virtual, of course. We had a lot of like check-ins, and it was really nice to see not just the mentors sharing their expertise with their mentees, but sort of the whole group coming together and sharing a lot of expertise, commenting on each other's projects. So that was very exciting. We also, as I said, offered some, sort of small webinar opportunities. We featured what we called a spring fling, where we showcased some of the work that people had done. The mentoring participants got to share their work. People that had been in that second round of the fundamentals talked about some of their capstone projects. So an opportunity to hear a little bit about what people were doing. We also continued this in the winter period with a winter webinar series that focused on some different aspects of data science with presentations from our staff. So that rounded up our second year. And I will say that, we sort of put a pause on things as we were doing some evaluation of what we had done. And where we go with this in the future is kind of an open question at this point, but I am happy to share any more about any of the particulars that we've done with any questions that you have. And I just want to recognize the rest of the team who worked on this project. We had representation from each of the divisions at NLM to make sure that we were really, getting opportunities that spoke to everyone. So I will stop there. And I think if there's any questions, happy to take those.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That was fantastic. Are there any questions or comments for Lisa at this time? And you can just unmute yourself. Yep, go ahead.
So you mentioned that the data science course catalog is at NIH resources. Is it possible to share a link or how to search for that catalog?
Yeah, it's not something that we have publicly posted, but I'd be happy to share it with the caveat that they did put this together a couple of years ago. So it's not something that we've been sort of like actively maintaining. So it's very possible that it's not fully up to date anymore. Some of the opportunities listed in the catalog are NIH specific, but a lot of them are things that would be, sort of more like Coursera or like LinkedIn Learning. So certainly happy to share that with those limitations recognized.
Great, thank you.
Can you put those in the Etherpad? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you want to put it in the chat or the Etherpad, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'll have to find the file, but after once Pramod starts talking, I'll dig in my files and find it and share that with you all.
That'll work. That'll work. Any other questions or comments for Lisa in her presentation?
I had a question about what level of time commitment on the team's part, your part, and the other parts of the NLM team did it take to, work? How much was it on your side and how much was on the contractor side to be able to pull out this across the whole institute?
Yeah, I would say the contractors definitely did a lot of the heavy lifting. We had a large, I would say probably like 5 to 10 people at various different times of the contractors working on this. So that was a significant time commitment on their part, but it was also a significant time commitment on the part of the NLM team. And one of the things that we had actually talked about as a team is sort of at the end of that second year, if we were going to be continuing this, it was not really feasible for, all of us to sort of continue doing this on top of our, day jobs, if you will. So it's something that if we had, or if we do, when we do continue moving forward, it's really something that we felt as a team that it needs, an FTE dedicated to doing this work. So, I mean, I would say I can't give you like a specific number, and it would really vary a lot depending on, sort of what was going on at a given time. But I would say it was a fairly significant investment of time on the part of the NLM staff as well.
I don't know if I have a question, if you don't mind. This is Mark Boumedine. Can you elaborate a little bit the relationship mentor-mentee, and who are these mentor-mentees? Do they have a PhD, a master, they're from industries? And who are the mentees? Undergraduate students, teachers? Or?
Yeah, so all of both the mentors and the mentees were NLM staff. Pardon me. So there was no sort of requirement of like education or expertise for either the mentors or the mentees. The mentors sort of self-identified as people who felt that they had some expertise in data science that they would like to share. Some of them were people who had in that first year gone through the data science fundamentals program. So people that had actually sort of benefited from the program to enhance their own skills. Others were people that sort of came in with more advanced data science knowledge because that's like, part of what they do for their work. So we had it was a pretty diverse group of mentors with different sort of levels of expertise and areas of expertise. And then we paired those with mentees that, we hoped would, it would be sort of a good fit in terms of what the mentee wanted to learn and what the mentor had to offer. So it came, the mentors and mentees came from various different divisions at NLM and lots of different backgrounds and expertise. So there's not really like a single profile for either the mentors and mentees, but, I think it was a really nice opportunity for people that did have a little bit more of that knowledge that they wanted to connect and share with their colleagues to sort of do that and work with a mentee. And I think all of those relationships went really well. And I think the mentees really benefited a lot.